Hey everybody, welcome to Tech Hub Live. This is my second video. Thanks for watching. I'm just going to show here how to import an appliance into VirtualBox. We'll cover some related subjects like settings and starting it, closing versus saving, host keys, and getting to full screen. This is a preparation for my next video, which will show you how to create a new virtual machine. So in the next video, we'll look at machine new, but in this video, we're going to actually look at file, import appliance. And you can just watch the chapters. I'm going to ramble on a bit here at times, but you can watch the chapters and skip to whatever chapter you think you need to get what you need. I hope you enjoy the video. So let's take a look here. First of all, I have to warn you away from VirtualBox and tell you that you should be using VMware. Some people don't want to use VMware because you have to create an account at Broadcom, but it is free otherwise once you make that account. And you can just Google for this blog post, and you'll see that the download links are down here. So VMware Fusion Pro or Workstation Pro for personal use and student use is free now, hopefully forever. All right, back to VirtualBox. So like I said, we're not going to do a machine new. We're going to actually do a file import appliance here. And this means that somebody has given us a VM that's already situated, that's already set up. We're not making a bare bones operating system into a VM. So let me take a look here. In my VMs directory, I have this OVA file. So you're typically going to have an OVA file. There might be OVF instead. But and if you're on a Mac, you got to watch. There's certain, I think this is not a bug anymore, but certain older versions of Chrome, when you would download the OVA, it would automatically unzip it into an OVF, and that would cause problems. So if you download the OVA but don't wind up with an OVA, that's probably why, and you need to restore it as an OVA. Okay, so now let's actually get this file. And this is going to take a while, but let's look at the settings here first. We've obviously got our location of our VM, and again, this is specifically for a class for a Intro to Information Security course that I help run. So this is our VM. Now in the settings, you can take care of some of these things ahead of time. I want my CPU. Well, you know what? As I say that, I think if I do this, I think it's going to crash. Let's find out. So CPU for let's just say the machine base folder is going to be DVMs. So where's that D drive again? DVMs. Okay, and then if I click finish, I could swear that this has crashed on me previously, but it looks like it's working. So we're importing the appliance. I'm going to pause and wait till it gets close to being done. Okay, we're up to a whopping 64%. It takes a while to import these appliances. In fact, everything is slower in VirtualBox than it is in VMware. I mean, the import may take a long time in VMware as well, but once you're actually up and running in VMware, to shut down your, I'll explain it more later, but to shut down your VM and save the state and then restore from the save state is much faster in VMware than VirtualBox. VMware might take 10 seconds to restore my VM, from a save state, whereas VirtualBox might take a minute or two. And I'll take a second here to explain this shirt here. I'm a graduate of Georgia Tech, the OMSCS program. Oh, good, we're finished importing. So I'll just say this is actually a pretty classic shirt. This goes back to 2018, I think. And this the signature here is V. Galley, is one of the founders of the program. So anyways, just a little trivia for you there. All right, let's take a look. Now we've actually got our VM. Notice that it put a 1 at the end, right, to distinguish it from the one that's already here. So what we do now is we're going to do start. But first, actually, we're going to go look at some settings. So let's make sure all the settings are the way we want them. These should be, by default, fine. Now, for the video memory, for the total memory, I only want 4096 here. I think that's the setting that if you change it on the import, it'll crash. Okay, for the rest of this stuff down here, display, I want 128 megabytes of video memory, 1 monitor, leave the scaling at 100%. I would mess with these video settings. Notice what happens here. If I come up and choose my favorite, which is VBoxSVGA, it says invalid settings detected, but the OK button is still there. So there's no reason why you can't just go ahead with these settings. What I've found in the past is that VMSVGA doesn't work as well as VBoxSVGA, but that seems to be changing recently. The other thing that's changing recently is I'm going to recommend that we don't set 3D acceleration. After all, we're not gamers, and I think that's the main reason. Notice, unless you're running some modeling software or something, to choose that. So we're going to leave that off. So let's try these settings here. Okay, let's go ahead and start the VM. And you notice I already had it set for 4 processors. So let's take a second look at that while this is booting. Notice we can't change the settings now, but yeah, I'm on 4 processors and 4 megs of RAM, 4 gigs of RAM. Excuse me, 4 megs of RAM. Boy, that'd be like an Apple II or something. Okay, well, let's wait this out. It is starting up here, actually. All right, let me explain this real quick for people not familiar with this. This is typically what you're going to get. The virtual machine reports the guest OS does not support mouse pointer integration in the VM. So what this means is when you're working with other windows, let's say you're on a different screen working on some window, and then you come back to your VM, just by clicking on it or just by hovering over it, it's not going to be active. It's not until you click in it, and it says here, you need to capture the mouse by clicking over the VM display or pressing the host key in order to use the mouse inside the guest OS. So right now it is captured because it's already captured. Let me put my password in here and my username. Okay, and see how we're already getting some weird video artifacts and then this cursor is wrong. We'll see if we can fix that. What's going on here? Why isn't my login working? Yeah, somehow it's just locked up here. It's not even logging me in or giving me like the ability to get into the VM. Let's see. I manually hit the caps lock there just to test that out. All right, so what I'm going to do here is we're going to shut down the VM. And so here's another lesson for you. When you close a VM, if you want to keep the windows open and you keep everything that you have running, any servers or anything in the VM, then you save the machine state. That'll take a minute or two in VirtualBox. And then that does create a fairly large file on your disk. I'm going to power off the machine because I want to mess with the video settings. I think that's what's happening here. So let's go back to the settings. And we're going to go ahead and go back to the one that's been working recently, but never worked for me in the past. So I was on VMSVGA. Okay, now I'm going to try to change that. I'm going to mark this just for fun because people have recently been telling me that this helps them, whereas in the past it would always cause problems. So let's try this. Okay, oh, now look what it said there. It's not accepting my change. Why not? Is it because it thinks it's a bad config? Okay, now it's stuck. Now it's stuck, so that's really weird. Let's try it now. I'll pause for a little bit. Okay, so far so good. And the mouse integration message is the same, does not support. And then the auto capture keyboard message basically is telling you that whatever the mouse is doing, the keyboard is doing. Okay, it looks like it wants to boot up here, and I'm not getting the strange video artifacts this time. So let me explain something else while we're waiting for this. Oh, here we are. I'll explain it later. Okay, that's my username. That's my password. That's not good. Huh. Okay, well that was just momentary. I'm going to ignore that. Okay, now we get to the next test here. So this is Ubuntu 24, and right now, if I was to go into, okay, we still have that weird cursor, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. It's probably an artifact of whoever set this VM up. Anyway, so what I wanted to show you here is if I go to display, it's currently set to 800 by 600, right? Now, sometimes what works, a couple of concepts here. So this has been referred to before, the host key. So the host key is your right control key on a Windows machine. On a Mac, it's your right command key, I believe. You should double check that. If you hold down the host key and then press F, you go full screen. But notice the VM is not going full screen yet. Sometimes VMs will automatically resize themselves when you go full screen. In this case, we're going to have to go, and I'm actually on a 2K monitor, but I'm just doing 1920 by 1080 for the video. So I'm going to set it to 1920 by 1080, apply, keep settings. Okay, so now we've got a full-size VM, and we can control our host key F and get the menu back at the top here. This is the next thing to notice, is when you're not full screen, the menus are here at the top. And then if you do a host F or a full, just choose full screen mode here, the menu's gone. It's no longer at the top. Now it's actually at the bottom. And so you have to move your mouse down to the bottom and hold it at the bottom for it to pop up. Now, sometimes if you're in Windows, for me, and I have my taskbar auto hiding, the taskbar will start popping up here and covering up the VirtualBox menu, which is really annoying. So hopefully that's not a problem for you. Well, I think that's about all I really wanted to show here. We covered the host key. We covered the way that you have to click into the VM to activate the mouse in the VM. And then when you do that, the mouse is captured by the VM. Let me give you a little demo of that, actually. So we're in the VM now, right? So if everyone's familiar with Alt-Tab, that's the way that you cycle through your open applications. So I'm going to Alt-Tab here. And notice I only have one open application, right? So let's open something second. Let's open a second application, terminal. Let's open a terminal. Okay, so now when I Alt-Tab, you see how the context is the VM itself, right? But now the minute that I hit the host key and escape the VM, now what's going to happen when I Alt-Tab? Think about that for a second. Am I just going to see my two windows in the VM, or am I going to see more? I'm going to see more. I'm going to see all my windows, because now I'm out of the VM and into the host, which is my Windows machine. Now if I click back into the VM, I've just activated the VM back again. And if I Alt-Tab again, now I'm just limited to this. And then the keyboard follows that. Now the other way, I'm full screen here, right? And I don't want to go away from full screen to click on some other app. So that's why I'm doing the host key and then using my Alt-Tab app cycling. Now, I also have multiple screens, so I could just go to a different screen and click on an app, and then that also defocuses the VM. All right, let's take a look here and see if there's anything else we want to cover. Let me show you something here. In the installation phase, I didn't really cover this, but there's a command called df-h. And so notice that we're on an 80 gigabyte disk, and we've used 25 gigs of it. Yeah, it's not an option here, but when I first set up the VM, I think I skipped over, there's an option to allocate all the space right at once. But right now, we're not actually using this entire 79 gigabytes. We're only using 25 gigabytes. And this file, this VDI file that the VirtualBox machine is connected to, will grow as you use the machine. I've never seen them shrink, but they will grow. And there's a maximum limit there of 79 gigs. So if you ever hit that limit, then it gets a little bit tricky. It's beyond the scope of this video. But you have to basically make a really good backup of your VM first, and then you have to extend your partition. And then within Linux, you have to get Linux to see the extended partition. It's a little tricky. I should do a video about it sometime. All right, that's it. That's all we're going to cover here. We talked about installation and settings and start all the way through getting it to full screen. And I really appreciate your watching this video. I hope that you would subscribe to the channel. It's a new channel, so I need some help. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.